It's fascinating how the mind can hold on to ideas, isn't it? Ideas that once seemed so certain, so immovable, and yet the moment you begin to question them, they start to loosen. It's like holding sand in your hand. The tighter you grip it, the less you actually hold. But when you relax and let go a little, everything begins to shift. And as you think about that, you might start to wonder, who taught you that having money would bring you harm? Was it a whisper in the background? A look someone gave? An idea that was never yours to begin with? It's funny how beliefs, they can feel like facts when they're just untested assumptions. Stories we've been telling ourselves without realizing. Because after all, money is just energy. It flows, it moves, it connects people, creates opportunities. Money doesn't judge. It doesn't decide to harm or heal. It simply amplifies what's already there. And the kind of person you are, the way you care, the way you love, wouldn't having more amplify that too? Now consider this. Have you ever seen a candle light another candle? The first candle doesn't lose its flame. It grows. It spreads light. What if you, having abundance, didn't take anything from anyone, but instead became that candle, lifting up the world around you? What if your success didn't inspire jealousy, but ignited hope? What if your joy gave others permission to feel joy? And you might even realize deep down that resenting others' success, it isn't really about them at all. It's about you. It's just a reflection of a part of you that's been waiting for permission to shine just as brightly, to take up just as much space, to thrive without apology. And isn't it interesting how the more you let go of judgment, of yourself, of others, the lighter you feel? Because judgment is heavy, isn't it? It's like trying to climb a mountain while carrying a backpack full of stones. But as you start to put down those stones one by one, step by step, something amazing happens. You feel freer, more alive, more connected to everything that's good in the world. And you know what's even more fascinating? Pleasure, joy, excitement. They aren't distractions from spiritual growth. They are spiritual growth. Think about a flower blooming in the sunlight. It doesn't apologize for its beauty. It doesn't shrink to make other flowers feel better. It grows fully, completely, and in doing so, it adds to the garden, makes the world more beautiful. So, as you imagine that flower, maybe you can begin to wonder, what would it feel like to bloom? To let yourself experience the fullness of life, the richness of love, the freedom of joy. What if having more money, more happiness, more success, allowed you to give more, to share your gifts, your kindness, your heart with the people who need it most? And maybe now, as you think about the belief you've been holding on to, you can start to see it for what it really is. Not a truth, not a rule, but just a story. And like any story, it can be rewritten. You could take that old belief, thank it for trying to protect you, and gently set it aside. Because it's time for a new story, isn't it? A story where abundance feels natural. A story where success is celebrated. A story where you trust that having more doesn't make you less. It makes you more of who you are. And the best part is, you already know how to write that story. Deep inside, there's a part of you that's always known. And as you listen to these words, you might notice something shifting. Maybe it's a small shift, like a flicker of light in the corner of your mind. Or maybe it's something bigger, like a weight lifting off your chest. Whatever it is, just let it happen. Let the changes unfold in their own perfect way, in their own perfect time. Because you don't need to force it. Change doesn't have to be hard. In fact, it can be as easy as taking a deep breath, as simple as choosing to see things differently. And maybe, just maybe, you're starting to realize you can have it all. success, love, joy, abundance, and still be deeply connected to your highest self. Because when you let go of fear, when you embrace who you truly are, you don't just lift yourself up, you lift everyone around you, like ripples in a pond. Your growth, your light, your joy spreads outward, touching the lives in ways you may never understand. And so as you sit with these thoughts, these ideas, you can begin to feel a sense of possibility, a sense of freedom, a sense that the limits that you once believed in, they were never really there at all. They were just shadows on the wall. And now it's time to step into that light. And as you take a moment to reflect, isn't it curious how a belief, something invisible, something intangible, can feel so real, so solid, like a wall you think you can't pass? But you and I both know something, don't we? Walls are never as solid as they seem. With the right perspective, the right tools, the right understanding, you don't have to break through the wall. You simply walk around it, or let it dissolve entirely. Now consider this for a moment. When did you first decide, without even realizing it, that wealth and abundance were things you couldn't have, things you didn't deserve? Was it something someone said to you, something you saw, or maybe it was simply absorbed, like a sponge soaking up water that wasn't its own? And yet, just as a sponge can be wrung out, you can release those old ideas, those old beliefs. Because here's the truth. You're starting to recognize money, wealth, abundance. They aren't bad, are they? They're not moral or immoral. They're tools. They're resources. They're possibilities. It's like a paintbrush. It doesn't care what you paint. It simply allows you to express what's within you. And when what's within you is love, kindness, creativity, generosity, then abundance becomes a way to amplify all of those beautiful things. And as you think about that, maybe you can imagine a seed, a small, simple seed that contains within it the potential for a towering tree. That seed doesn't doubt its worth, doesn't question whether it deserves to grow. It simply reaches for the sunlight, knowing that growth is its natural state. And just like that seed, you too were born to grow, to expand, to thrive. Now let's go deeper, because somewhere within you, there's a part of you that already knows this, a part of you that knows wealth. It's just another form of energy. Just like love, just like joy, just like creativity. An energy is meant to flow, isn't it? It's meant to move, to circulate, to grow, and come back to you in ever greater measure. And perhaps you've believed up until now that having money would make people angry at you or jealous. But let's think about that for a moment. When you see someone who's truly abundant, not just financially, but abundant in love, in joy, in kindness, do you feel anger or do you feel inspired? Because the truth is, abundance doesn't create jealousy. It creates possibility. It shows others what's possible for them too. When you succeed, when you thrive, you give others permission to do the same. And isn't that a gift worth giving? And let's talk about this idea that having more could somehow take away from your spiritual growth. Isn't it interesting how that belief works? As if spirituality and abundance were opposites, when in fact they're partners. Think of it like this. Imagine a river flowing endlessly. Is the river less spiritual because it flows abundantly? Or is its abundance the very proof of its connection to something greater? Money is like that river. It's meant to flow, to nourish, to create life. And just as the river doesn't stop being a river when it gives water to the land, you don't stop being spiritual when you allow abundance to flow through your life. In fact, you become more connected because you're able to share, to give, to uplift others in ways you never could before. Now let's pause and imagine something together. Close your eyes if you like, and picture yourself in a life of abundance. Not just material wealth, but abundance in every sense. Imagine waking up each morning feeling free. Free to do what you love. Free to share your gifts. Free to live fully and unapologetically. What does that feel like? What does it look like? And as you hold that image in your mind, notice how good it feels to know that this isn't a fantasy, it's a possibility. And it's not just possible, it's natural. Just like the sun rising in the morning. Just like the seasons changing. Abundance is a natural part of life. And as you begin to embrace that, maybe you can start to see how those old beliefs, the ones that said you couldn't or shouldn't, or didn't deserve to have more, they were never really your beliefs. They were borrowed, handed down, absorbed. But now, you're returning them. You're giving them back to wherever they came from. Because they don't belong to you anymore. Instead, you're choosing something new. You're choosing to believe that money is a force for good. That wealth is a tool you can use to create, to give, to love. That abundance doesn't separate you from others. It connects you to them. And as these ideas settle into the deepest part of your mind, maybe you'll start to notice some changes, small at first, like the way a single drop of water ripples through a pond. Maybe you'll start to feel lighter, freer, and more open to possibilities. Maybe you'll find yourself saying yes to opportunities that you once ignored. Or maybe one day you'll look back and realise that the wall you once thought was unmovable was never really there at all. Because the truth is, abundance, it isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow. It's already here, waiting for you to step into it, to claim it, to make it your own. So as you sit with these words, as they echo in your mind and settle in your heart, you can begin to feel a sense of excitement, of curiosity. What will you create? What will you do with this new freedom, this new possibility? The answers are already within you, waiting to unfold in their own perfect time. And as you move forward, step by step, moment by moment, you'll begin to notice that abundance feels more natural, more effortless, more aligned with who you truly are. Because this is who you've always been, a creator, a giver, a light in the world. And now it's time to shine.